Welcome back to Adventures with Rosie. Now remember that really cool rock tumbler I built in the last video, like only a few days ago? It doesn't work. So we kicked off the maiden voyage of the rock tumbler. We've actually made a video about the steps, which should be the next video you see. We'll actually get to polishing some rocks, but we put some rocks in our old barrel here. We tightened the lid on. We checked it wasn't leaking. These lids, PVC lids, have a rubber seal inside them, and all that was all good. We put it on here, found the kind of speed that seemed to work, and I left it running, and I came and checked it every hour. It was sitting on the floor of the garage just in case it caught fire. I came and checked it every hour. The motor wasn't getting warm, the power supply wasn't getting warm. It ran solid for 24 hours. I then came and checked it. I kind of left it running for a few more hours. I came and checked it, and I heard this horrible noise coming out of our shed. This lid had come off. All the water and the slurry that's in here, the grit was just everywhere. There's a big white patch on my garage floor. The rocks were jammed under the roller, and this was squeaking. The motor was a little bit warm. I think the lid actually was jammed under the rollers. The whole thing was squeaking, and yeah, what a mess. I don't know what to do. I think we've got to go back to the drawing board. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this down. This grit on this plywood is not coming off. So what I might do is strip everything off the board. Now I've tested the motor and the power supply, and everything still runs, thankfully. So I think the belt might have got a little bit stretched, the belt from the motor to the roller, but we can make adjustments for that. They were only a cheap belt anyway. So everything still works. I think what I need to do is just clean it up. And I've also got a couple of improvements I want to do later in this video as well. I'm going to try a new barrel. I'm also going to add some more gears and some more belts, which are on the way on the courier, to this, just to make it perform a little bit better. Just some things I noticed in the first 24 hours. Alright, well everything's back together, a bit of a lick of paint there, and it's all working, which is great. I didn't really deviate from my original design. I just kind of screwed everything back how it was. I think maybe because I'd raised the power supply slightly to mount it, I put it on those 3M poster strips. If you saw the other video, it was actually up off the surface of that wood, so all the water that came out of the barrel went under the power supply. So I've done the same. I think that's probably a good idea to have your power supply slightly raised, whether that's on blocks or wood or something, just to stop it taking any water. Now there is one fundamental flaw with the original design. In the last video, I put it together, I was pretty happy with it. One thing I realized pretty quickly is I did not put any drive belts or anything on the second shaft, on the back shaft. It just spins freely on the bearings. Because I bought cheap bearings, maybe it's not spinning as freely as it could. But I realized that occasionally that shaft would maybe slip, or It was basically relying on the rolling of the barrel to spin that second shaft. I experimented by putting a couple of rubber bands on the end to join the two shafts together and a bit of a screw, and it worked really well. It started driving it, everything seemed a little bit smoother, a bit quieter. So yeah, it is a bit of a flaw. I should have paid more attention to that. I've been back and watched some other people who've built some big rock tumblers, and everyone seems to put some sort of drive belt on that second shaft. So what I've done is ordered a couple of really cheap little pulleys. They just have little grub screws on them. I'm waiting on a belt still. I just bought these from AliExpress. They're a few dollars each. I'm going to put them on the opposite end to the motor of the shaft, so like motor on one end, these on the other, and I'll put a little drive belt between them. So it's kind of maybe a $5-6 modification. I ordered a few different size belts because I wasn't quite sure of the tension of these. Obviously you need to try and measure the diameter of the belt. You could maybe have another third sort of tensioning, wheel or shaft or something. I need to play around with it. I'm going to try and chuck these two on for now, put some rubber bands between them and just see if these are going to work. But I suppose the only key thing you need to do is make sure that they are the same size pulley with the same amount of teeth, right? You don't want to run one of your shafts faster than the other. So these, unlike the motor end where I've got a small pulley on the motor and a big pulley on the main shaft, these two need to be identical. So I'll pop those on, and then I've also bought something else actually. So I treated myself to a new barrel. I need to figure out what's going on with the big barrels and why that came undone. I asked my dad about it because that's what you do, right? When you don't know something technical, ask your old man. He wondered if the way that the barrel was spinning meant that the thread could slowly become undone. And he said if you flip the barrel around 180 degrees and it's spinning, is that trying to, in theory, tighten the barrel? Which it may well be doing. It may well do that. So I want to try that out. The other thing I bought, I just found one of these secondhand, was a Lawtone. That's the rock tumbling brand. A Lawtone barrel. So these are a rubber barrel, and they have a lid on the top, like they have a thumb screw on the end here that you take off. They have a metal lid, and they also have a really cool rubber insert. So this is actually rubber. It's quite firm, obviously a lot smaller. This is a I think these are a pound barrel, or yeah, I think they're a 1 pound barrel, maybe a 2. But yeah, rubber lid that actually pushes down really firmly inside, like so. You see it's breaking it on camera. Metal lid over the top, which acts as another seal that goes on really tight. Big old washer, and then a thumb screw. So from what I've read, these are really good barrels. There's absolutely no way this is going to leak water all over my garage floor like my other one. The only thing is, it's a little bit smaller. So there's the one I was using versus the one I bought. Now, if I had the money, I might be inclined to buy a few of these, because I think I could be running one for each stage. I could be doing glass in one, the polishing in one, all the different stages. If you had 4 of these, you could just have this continuous production line of rock tumbling through all the stages. And I could probably run about 6 of these maybe on there. So I'm going to give that a go, I think. One final little mod I want to do is install some little nylon guide wheels. What I've been finding with the barrels is that they want to walk their way up as it spins. They kind of want to walk their way up the shafts. I want to put a couple of little nylon wheels in as guide wheels like that, so that it sits against that wheel and this wheel spins as the barrel spins. These were from the hardware store. They were in the wardrobe, cavity slider, kitchen door sort of section. I imagine they're sort of guide wheels for like a sliding door or a cavity slider. Pretty cheap. Bought extra long bolts as well. Just bought a small pack of bolts. So I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom of the table, mount that up, bolt it down, and then these will sit up suspended like that. And then the barrel will just, if it wants to walk up, it'll walk up to it. These will probably end up marking the barrel, I guess. There'll be circles on them, but not the end of the world. And then as we add more barrels to this contraption, we will add more of these wheels so they all are separated and don't bang into each other and cause issues. So that's been running for a few hours now, and everything is working great. Those rubber bands are holding. I would obviously like to put a a proper belt on that when they arrive. But yeah, everything's working really well. I would like to get a couple more of these barrels. I'm just looking at the massive bucket of rocks we've got to polish and all the fun things we want to do with it. So maybe in the future, might buy a couple more of those. I know you can get cheaper versions of these off AliExpress as well. Not necessarily the branded ones like the Lawtone. I don't know how well they'd perform. Maybe I should get a couple and do a side-by-side comparison. These are probably expensive for a reason. They're probably better, better well made. I don't want anything that's going to leak, because you leave your rock tumbler unattended for so many hours, in the shed. Was checking on it throughout the day, but ultimately this thing's going to be running for weeks non-stop, so I don't want anything that's going to leak. I don't want motors that are going to get warm, power supplies are going to smoke, any of that sort of good stuff. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. Might pick up a few more of these and also figure out what is going on with my bigger barrels, because I'd love to use those as well. Maybe I could tape them shut, maybe I could make some sort of clamp on the lid. Something. There'll be an answer. I just need to have a play around, I think. So, the next video, I'm actually going to go through the entire process of polishing the rocks from start to finish. All the different stages, the different grits. I've got all the different grits here. It's like, your rough, your coarse through to your medium, your pre-polish, your polished grits. We'll talk about ceramic media and the part that this plays in the whole process. And we will polish some rocks. We'll start from lower down in the grits. We'll work our way all the way through over the next few weeks in the one video for you guys, but it'll be a few weeks for me, and we will see how this thing performs. I then want to try and make some ocean glass as well, smash up some bottles, put it through the process and see if I can get some really cool polished glass. One of our children really loved collecting glass on the beach, on the lakefront, so I'd love to be able to make him some glass with some neat old gin bottles. We've got some cool blue and black and other cool coloured bottles, green, so we'll give that a go. So stay tuned, next video out in a few days time. Like always, like I said in the last video, if you've got any sort of questions, comments, criticisms of my design, things you think I should do better, improvements, or anything you want to know, yeah, fire away in the comments below. We can have a conversation down there. I'll answer your questions. You can give me a hard time if you think my idea and my design's rubbish and you knew it was going to leak from day one. Maybe you did. But yeah, thank you as always for watching. See you in a few days in the next video.